Good morning. These are tomatoes I just picked from the garden. And today we'll talk a little bit more about relationships because it's a really good topic that is evolving, and we can focus on some flowers. So, relationships. How do we relate to others? I feel just like with a lot of other things, our first idea of relationships comes from our family of origin. I think this flower is called Cosmos. Pretty cool. So we learn how to relate by the way our caregivers relate to one another and ourselves, which oftentimes can be very unhealthy and unproductive. And later on, when we enter other social structures and we're exposed to, let's say, like relatives, friends, families of our friends, we learn that there are different ways of relating, and some of them could be better or worse than the ones we were exposed to during our first 7 years. There are lots of noises out there, so I hope you can hear well. Nature sounds. Everything is related. So what happens is we are like, oh, there's this way too and that way too. And if we have more of a growth mindset, we are able to assimilate things that we think are more beneficial and learn to relate in better ways. But in ideal relating or communicating, we should be able to talk openly about the way we see the world, about our thoughts, feelings, desires, needs, and have that reciprocity in the mutual sharing where the other person can also not only accept what we're saying and be able to just make us feel seen and heard and accepted, but share their thoughts, feelings, the way of perceiving reality. And even if there are differences, we're able to honor them and still coexist. And depending on how many similarities we have, this is how we usually go about creating friendships. We find more than one similarity in something. Maybe we have a shared interest, maybe we have a shared view of the world, shared experience, and based on that, we bond. And what always happens as well is that our idea of love comes from our family of origin. And a lot of times, most of the time actually, people have been loved conditionally. And this is the notion of love they pass on to others as well. If you are like me, if you listen to me, if you do this that way, I'm going to love you. And if you do not, I'm going to exclude, expel you, judge you. So this can be very damaging, especially when you're forming your own opinions and your own personality. And it can lead either to conformity and people pleasing or to rebellion. So hopefully we outgrow that in our teenage years. And later on, maybe this wish in us arises after we've had different relationships and we still feel like we're lacking something. Look at this giant bumblebee. To fulfill that need and craving for love from within. And when we start to go within, we can see a lot of our conditioning, where all of these notions and ideas came from, ways of relating. We can discern, is this healthy for me or not? What works for me? What are my actual needs? and how can I fulfill them, and how can I find people who can truly see me and like me for who I am, not who they need me to be to serve their own purpose. And when we are able to establish this good relationship with ourselves through self-reflection and self-inquiry, and determining and establishing our own needs, hearing ourselves and our feelings and desires, then we can start pursuing them and feel good about ourselves, because we're loving ourselves, like we're being loving towards ourselves and our inner child, and saying, okay, I heard what you need, I see you, I love you, and I'm going to do everything possible to give it to you and nurture you in this beautiful way, and motivate you, and truly accept you for all that you are, with all of your emotions. And when we're in that space of self-love, then we can truly be loving towards others and make them feel seen and heard and loved. But a lot of times what happens, at least to me, is that when I'm in that space and I extend that love outward to people, which is agape love, of just seeing the divinity in the other person and accepting them in their personality, if these people have not gotten there at that level of self-love themselves, then they get addicted to my love and want to keep it around. And if I stop sharing that much, or I need some for myself or to extend to other people, there's jealousy, there's envy, there is resentment. Why you're not giving to me anymore? And my thought the whole time was, I just wanted to model that, and this is how I love myself and how I can love others. And maybe you can, by virtue of osmosis, which happens with some people, be able to have that self-compassion and understanding for yourself and develop that self-love within. Which is really beautiful. And if we go to the healthy version, when two people both love themselves and accept themselves as they are, with their flaws, with all that they have going for themselves, when they're emotionally intelligent and know how to work with their so-called like bad feelings, we can share beautifully in love, and see what this sharing is all about, and be able to share our view of reality, our thoughts, our feelings, our desires, and see if there's a match, and to what an extent there's a match, and maybe, like we're working at the same time on similar things, and we support one another, and we encourage one another, and we're like each other's accountability buddy. Or maybe there is something more, maybe there's also like a romantic attraction, like physical attraction, and if everything else is aligned, timing, time, space, location, people can have a beautiful relationship together. And if not, if we're in different stages, then we can be like, okay, it was really beneficial to experience you and get to know another human being. And maybe we stay in touch, maybe we don't, but there is this mutual respect, honoring, love, appreciation, and this desire to share versus to only just like get. And also the space and the ability to receive the deeper natural gifts of the other person, which could be peace, joy, compassion, motivation, intelligence, kindness. And through their sharing, we can awaken those qualities within ourselves or practice them better. And this to me is very healthy relating based on freedom, on mutual respect, reciprocity, open communication, understanding, um, general curiosity about the other instead of defensiveness and being threatened. And instead of trying to fit them in a narrative of what serves us and wanting them to be this particular person for us to fulfill certain needs that we have not learned how to fulfill for ourselves yet. Um, Being in that space of, wow, I want to share something with me, and that is beautiful, and I'm honored by that. Namaste. I hope you enjoy your Sunday. This got long. My flowers are pretty. Here's the bee. And that's what bees do actually. You know, they just go about from flower to flower, they pollinate the flower, and they gather the pollen, and then they make honey and give us the honey. So they're a perfect example of this unconditional love and purpose where, you know, they're giving something, the pollination, they're getting something, the pollen, then with what they get, they produce honey, and they feed themselves, and there's extra honey that goes for others, and this is healthy relating. And in nature, everything operates that way. There's this mutual give and take and continuous balance. All the church bells. It's because it's a Sunday. And also notice how these flowers are different. Like some of these have just like a few petals, and then there are others that are like really full, like this one. And they came from the same seed packet. Like this one has just one layer. Okay, let's focus it. It doesn't want to focus on the seed. Okay, I think this is where I should stop rambling.